Hi and welcome back to Cheeky Crypto. Today, guys, we're diving into the world of Chiliz to take a look at the price action of CHZ. We're going to be taking a look at the weekly, daily, and hourly charts to see exactly what could be on the horizon next here for Chiliz. As we get into this video, if you do find it useful and informative, hit that like button. I really do appreciate that. If you happen to be new, why not go ahead and subscribe, tap that bell, select all notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with absolutely everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. With that said, done out of the way, let's dive right down into this weekly chart for Chiliz. So really want to just highlight the kind of progress that we've had so far, right? Really starting back in March of 2020. Good kind of sizable impulse waves to the upside, right? Wave 1 took us to an interesting area. It took us to about 2.2 cent in August of 2020. Then had a pullback in line pretty much with the rest of the crypto space and kind of bottoming out around October, trading sideways before we hit the new year and really went nuts to the upside. Wave 3 peaking up here in March. So basically from March to March, a 364-day move has seen 25,231% in gains. We then started to see a pullback. So if you were unfortunate enough to be buying Chiliz at the top of wave 3, you've had to endure this kind of bottom of wave 4, right, coming in. Unless you were selling and succumbing to the fear, thinking that we're going into a bear market, ultimately, you know, you've had to endure all of this kind of corrective wave. Right now, though, we are looking to push back to the upside, and we are going to talk about some interesting things that are on the horizon next. We can see that during this fourth wave correction, we were oversold just down at the bottom here. We were oversold also during our second wave correction. On the flip of that, we have wave 1 where we were overbought, and obviously we actually peaked when we were actually lower than the previous overbought area. Same with wave 3, we peaked up down here, small pullback bringing us back down, and then went overbought again for wave 3's peak. Now, we obviously were overbought as we started to spike up here. We pulled all the way back down to the bottom here, so we are looking to grow our weekly chart back to the upside and back to the overbought area. We do anticipate another 887% in gains, taking us to about $3.46 based on the current performance. This is based on the top of wave 3 and the bottom of wave 4. Take those two things into consideration, and the FIB 4.236 extension comes in at $3.46. So overall, as long as everything continues the way it has been during this quarter 4, that's the expectation, 887% and $3.46. Obviously, not financial advice, but I would be intending to basically sell on the way up at all of these different key prices on the fib areas here to lock in those profits on the journey to the upside rather than waiting to get to that magic 4.236 extension, okay? Otherwise, let's jump down into our daily. We can see a little bit more of the volatility and things that has been going on most recently. Here we obviously do have our 618-702-786. That's our yellow box just there. We can see that we have been tracking down a little bit here, and ultimately we started to see a bit of a break. Right, we're up against resistance right now, which comes in on this 236 area, and this is basically 34.7 cent. Okay, so this is an area that we broke through, tested it as support, and then Bitcoin pulled us down at the early September, right, bringing us right down into this opportunity to buy the dip. Okay, and basically we started to see some corrections back to the upside, overbought right now on our daily. And again, this isn't a problem because we have been up here for quite some time during this move, right, being up and overbought. So we can be overbought for a while yet, but we'll eventually have to wipe that stochastic out. Now, to do that, we can of course trade sideways, take that momentum out, and we can of course also push the price up whilst we drop that momentum of the stochastic. So right now we are looking to lower that stochastic over time. It doesn't have to be anything major. We can see that completely wipe out very quickly without doing any damage to the price and then take that next step to the upside. So it all depends on the sentiment of the space and how the market is feeling. Right now, I think everyone's kind of watching Bitcoin to see what Bitcoin does. If Bitcoin does break past its 786 57k area, which right now is it's not looking great, I'm not going to lie. Then, you know, if that does happen, then I think that's where Chiliz will really start to come in, people with more confidence in the crypto space. If Bitcoin doesn't, which I think is actually going to get rejected from the 702, looking at it this morning, and then actually pulling down to the 618 is probably the most likely cause for Bitcoin around that 51k area. And if that happens, then do expect a small pullback with many of these altcoins as well, Chiliz included. So right now, obviously on this daily chart, but we want to be mindful that we're up against resistance, and depending on what Bitcoin does will depend on whether or not we push up or pull down, unfortunately. So what we're going to do is we're going to check the sentiment out. So we're going to use Evide.io's dashboard, and we're going to take a look at the underlying data to see what this artificial intelligence is, thinks is likely to happen here with Chiliz, right? Because ultimately, there's things that are happening in the crypto space that are outside of your charts, and this is where Evide comes in. There's a link in the description below. If you're not familiar, do sign up, check it out. It is completely free, and you'll be able to understand a little bit more about information about your cryptocurrencies, right? So we're taking a look at Chiliz. We have a B1 rating overall. We have an AMI-HAD ratio of a D, okay? So overall, we have a B1, and then we're going to go into the details. So the AMI-HAD ratio, AMI-HAD is your liquidity, and rating a D is the worst rating that you can get. So there's some problems with liquidity, but this is not uncommon. Many altcoins right now seem to be having a problem with liquidity, okay? And again, that helps kind of suppress prices and some various different things that are going on in the space that could potentially stop people from purchasing cryptocurrency. And as a result of that, then you're not going to see these price runs that you might be expecting to happen. So I'd be quite cautious. So quite a few cryptocurrencies right now have got problems with liquidity, be that centralized exchanges or decentralized exchanges. There are problems when it's going to come to buying and selling Chiliz right now, okay? So I'm not aware of any exchanges that have come out publicly and said there's a problem with withdrawals or anything like that. But there's definitely some problems with liquidity for Chiliz right now and some of the other altcoins as well. So just well worth noting that. We also have a fear and greed index that's specific to Chiliz, not just the Bitcoin general one that you usually see all over YouTube. This one is specifically based on the data of Chiliz, right? So what is that sentiment telling us? Well, it's actually a B3 rating. A B3 rating is pretty neutral. It basically means that it's not greedy nor is it fearful, right? So there's pretty much equal amounts of buying and selling pressure at this point, okay? So it allows you to trade sideways more than anything else, right? So knowing that a sentiment isn't greedy and it isn't fearful means there's no FOMO, but there's also no panic selling either. So pretty good to kind of know where you are sit in terms of that fear and greed index, specifically when you've got things like AMI-HAD ratio issues, or where you see Bitcoin having some volatility. It's good to make sure that you're not succumbing to any fear. As we come on down here, we do have some interesting metrics as well. We have the Sharpe ratio. This is an A2. The Sharpe ratio is your risk-reward ratio, and right now being above the 50-day average, this is indicating actually the rewards outweigh the risks when it comes to Chiliz, which is pretty good to know. The profitability is an A1 rating, obviously at 25,000%. This is a fantastic project that's seen significant gains. For the same time period, Bitcoin has only gained 1,600%, but yet Chiliz has gained 25,000%. So obviously, I often have a problem when people refer to Bitcoin and Ethereum saying that they're the safer bets. One, you're using the word bet, and this is investing, it's not gambling, okay? So that, I don't like that terminology at all. And two, obviously, if you do your research, I wouldn't say that, investing in a smaller altcoin versus, Bitcoin is any more risky, okay? Because that research is absolutely key and absolutely vital. But also that's going to allow you to find these gems up front that will then allow you to see significantly more money flow into your portfolio, because it's not about the dollar value of a cryptocurrency. It's about the percentage yield that you're going to be generating from that cryptocurrency, right? So right now, Chiliz has outperformed a lot of other altcoins, including Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano, Harmony One, VeChain. Okay, so there's a whole host of cryptocurrencies that have also outperformed Chiliz, okay? But it's also important to also acknowledge and not necessarily just buy into only buying Bitcoin and only buying Ethereum, because you're not going to get huge percentage yields from those particular cryptocurrencies. Of course, don't just go throwing cash at anything, and I'm not a financial advisor, nor is Chris. So it's important that you do your own research, and I cannot stress that enough. If you do your research up front, you're going to find a cryptocurrency like Chiliz that is an absolute gem, undervalued, and that is going to see thousands upon thousands of % gains on your portfolio, which will have a significant effect on the actual dollar value of your portfolio overall. Whereas Bitcoin will see maybe 1,600%, maybe 2,000, 3,000% gains during an entire cycle. And obviously Ethereum might see, if you're lucky, maybe 10,000% gains, right? So it's knowing where to actually invest in, and that's really what the bear market is for. So if you've just joined because you're finding a bit of a hype around cryptocurrencies in this particular bull cycle, it's great. fantastic to have you here, but manage your expectations. And of course, join us in the bear market, because it's the bear market that you actually make the money. The bull run is all about managing your A, expectations, and B, emotions. Okay, rant over. Let's jump back to Chiliz. And what we're going to do is we're going to jump down into our hourly view, right? So now we obviously know that the sentiment is reasonably neutral. It's not fearful, it's not greedy. We know there's some liquidity based problems, so we're not expecting huge surges in price because the liquidity just isn't there for that. So we obviously should then expect some different things to occur. And what we can see here on the hourly chart is a stochastic that's lowering down, okay, and we're up against this resistance. We've traded sideways, okay, and we've traded sideways for quite some time. Not a lot of activity with Chiliz right now, right? So the expectation here would be to basically take that next step to the upside, as long as Bitcoin doesn't pull back down. If Bitcoin pulls us down, then do expect to pull back a little bit, nothing too major. Otherwise, we should be looking to target this area here of about 41.3 cent. This seems the most logical next step for Chiliz overall. Okay, the stochastic RSI is nice and low, so that will allow us to grow up there. And that seems to be the next area of resistance on this hourly chart. Overall, long term, I think Chiliz is going to do really, really well. And I think it's got huge potential to keep growing in the future as well. So overall, I'm not concerned about this one, but do expect some volatility until the market's a little bit more confident in what is going on here in Q4. Obviously, I have some pretty interesting targets set out for Bitcoin at 67K, for the month of October. So if that comes in, then do expect Chiliz to also move along with that. Guys, I'm going to leave it there. Hopefully you have found this video useful and informative. If you have, then hit the like button. I really do appreciate that. If you happen to be new, why not go ahead and subscribe, tap that bell, select all notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with absolutely everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. With this said, done, and out of the way, I hope everyone has a fantastic day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.